Hello, my fair friends. I'm Ruby Ruse, and on today's episode of Fairy Fortunes, we're coming to you with a brand new reading. This is called Will I Survive the Zombie Apocalypse?
If you would like to learn about fairy folklore, delve into modern fairy faith spirituality, and explore fun and fanciful fairy-themed events, please subscribe to Fairy Fortunes for new videos every Friday.
Now, I wish I had designed this reading myself, but I did not. I was watching YouTube and I was watching Amethyst Ascension's version of this reading, and she mentioned that the original creator of this reading was Lady Blind Wolf. So I do have both of those readings for you linked down below in the description box. So I do hope you will check out those other creators. What I really loved about this particular reading was that it was so fun and so creative that I just had to try it. Now, divination is often categorized as being for entertainment only for liability reasons, but I think that divination should be entertaining because it's a story. It's to help you unlock creative insight. That's what divination is about. So this Will I Survive the Zombie Apocalypse is just a fascinating way to tap into some really, I think, important issues that we need to look at in our lives. Now, both Amethyst Ascension and Lady Blind Wolf use tarot cards, and when they looked at each element of the reading, they used a new grouping of cards to address each particular issue. But I thought it would work well within a 3-card Fairy Fortune style reading, and so I will be doing the reading just with the 3 Fairy Fortune Oracle cards. So without further ado, let's get into the reading. Will I survive the zombie apocalypse? The alicorn Albus observes, as witness she listens, she serves. Her reason and rhyme bring peace sublime, her duty is pure and preserves. Letitia Leshy sings true, he never keeps secrets for you. He jumps just for joy, delight to deploy, such frolicsome fun will ensue. Conuncio centaur is wild, capricious yet you'll be beguiled. Reverse and unite, converse in a right, his friendship you'll want reconciled. So the first card in this Will I Survive the Zombie Apocalypse reading, the first card pertains to what are my strengths that are going to help me survive. And here I have the card of Albus the Alicorn. Alicorn is another word for unicorn, and unicorns are very magical and important beings. They actually traverse both Eastern and Western folklore and mythology. So that suggests to me that perhaps one of my skills may be my ability to adapt. No matter where I go, I'm going to find a way to make that comfortable for me. So that's interesting. Another thing about Albus the Alicorn is that the message of this card is all about observation, about taking time and looking back and reviewing and surveying, being observant. And I would say that is very true of me. I'm always looking for information. For example, when I go to a restaurant, I often choose the table that is furthest away from the door. And then I want to sit where I can see the doors so I can see who's coming and who's going out of the restaurant. And then another thing I will do is I will look around and see where the exits are so that if there is some kind of calamity, I know how to escape the area. It's not like I have anxiety or anything. So I would say that is true. Albus the alicorn can also be very calming, and I would say that I have that effect on other people, is that when there is a traumatic event, I have the ability to temper my own emotions and try to be a voice of reason, a voice of calm. I try to be other people's cornerstone. So that's a very interesting piece of information for me. I'm also very meticulous. That's a word that is often used to describe me, and it kind of like was off-putting to me because I kind of had this negative response to that. I'm like, what does that even mean? It means that I'm too much in my head and I'm too focused on weird things. But I think that my meticulous nature it can be a strength in traumatic incidences, because using that power of observation, I'm constantly cataloging the information, knowing that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, here's how I'm going to do it, and here's the plan. So to me, it's interesting that I got Albus the alicorn to showcase my strengths of observation, of calm, of adapting, and being meticulous. So the second card in this zombie apocalypse reading relates to what are the things that are going to get me to be eaten. What's going to be my downfall? What's going to make me a zombie snack? And here I have Letitia the Leshy. Leshies are from Russian folklore, and they are forest creatures. Well, they are nurturers of the forest, and they are guardians of wild things. So that suggests to me that it's going to be hard for me to choose maybe when things are so bad that I have to give up on maybe people and beings that are important to me, that I will possibly not be thinking of myself. I will put myself in harm's way and possibly get eaten for the sake of another person. Oh, how noble of me. How noble. I think that is true, but let's delve a little deeper. Now, Letitia in Latin actually means joy, and I am really not a joyful person. I have to choose the table furthest away from the door in restaurants, and then I have to watch who's coming in so I can prepare for calamity. I'm not exactly the happiest of people. So it's very interesting that I got Letitia the Leshy, but you know something that I do is I am very quick to think the best of people. So even when in my observation, if someone commits a heinous act, I'm always searching for the reason of why they did that. And unfortunately, the reality is that sometimes people commit heinous acts just because they want to. There's really no reason behind it. I tend to be a little bit gullible too, and that I can align myself with the wrong people. So it seems to me that I might choose the villain of the story inadvertently. Remember, I'm the one that's gonna get eaten for you. I'll put my body in between you and the zombie. I actually would do that. I digress. I would probably mistake a villainous character at first. It would take me some time to realize that they're not a good person. So I do tend to be gullible because I just want to think the best of people. I think that's a good place to be in. I think that we want to come to that position of everybody's our friend until they're not. But that can be, that innocence, that naivete that I have, that can, and it has in the past, been a little bit of a downfall for me. So maybe the message here is that I need to be a little bit more discerning, and maybe I need to think a little bit more about myself. You see what these readings can do? They can make you think about issues and concepts in your life in completely brand new ways. Now, the final card, much like a standard fairy fortune reading, takes the first card and the second card, and based on those factors, what is going to be the outcome of those two things? So let's take my strengths, let's take my weaknesses, and put them together and see what happens. Am I likely to survive? And here we have Conjuncio the Centaur. The centaurs are about bringing people together. They usually travel in a herd with other centaurs. And the other thing that strikes me about Conjuncio the Centaur is that it can pertain to reclaiming lost things. So what I mean by that is, if you've lost something and we do a reading and Conjuncio the Centaur comes up, that is a very fortunate sign, and it usually means that the lost thing is going to return to you. So with that in mind, the idea of coming back and renewing and returning, I would say that I have a very good chance of surviving a zombie apocalypse. But I am apparently going to have to be very careful about whose side I'm on. Because the possibility that I would align myself with a villain character, not because I am a villain, but because I just want to think the best of people. And they're not a villain. They're just trying to survive, and they have trauma. Yes, people have trauma, but they don't have to torture other people that are just trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. Another thing about Conjuncio the Centaur is that it pertains to friendships, which I tend to be a little bit of a lone wolf. So I think the message here is that I really need to think about my support system. And provided that I can do that, I have a good chance of surviving. But definitely, it's not only is it people that could be my downfall, my solitary nature also could be my downfall. But provided that I'm willing to adapt, there's a good chance that I will survive the zombie apocalypse. I will be a reoccurring character on The Walking Dead. If you liked this video, I would encourage you to check out some of my other fairy fortune readings, which I put together for you in a playlist, which will be down in the description box down below, or dun-da-da, in a card above my head. Divination is an integral part of my modern fairy faith spirituality practice, and if you'd like to learn more about that, I would invite for you to find me on Facebook and Instagram. In addition to my spiritual practice, I also post on fairy folklore and also fairy-themed adventures that I take throughout the United States. I'm active on both of those platforms with unique content to each almost daily. And additionally, I also would like to point out that if you are interested in receiving a Fairy Fortunes reading, you can buy one at my Fairy Fortunes website, www.fairyfortunes.com. And on there, you can also find products, lists of my appearances and performances. And also do check out my blog because I do provide a host of fairy-related resources. And with that, have a magical day.